Hello and welcome, Mr. Chats. I am Manny. My guest remains one of the finest voices from Africa. She's gorgeous, she's glamorous, she's gregarious, she's a grandmother, and she is a vastly traveled and vastly experienced songwriter, singer, musician, and activist.
Miata Fanbule is a Liberian and social change agent, a singer, songwriter, composer, producer, media practitioner, mother, public speaker, voiceover artist, and vocal activist. The Liberian-born singer comes from a long line of progressives and diplomats. After graduating from high school in Sierra Leone, she moved to Nairobi, Kenya, to attend junior college. She also bagged a degree in music and drama from the American Music and Dramatic Academy in New York and journalism from the United States. Her musical career took off even without her father's approval. This was because, according to her father, Liberia at the time was not very progressive, and women, especially ambassadors' daughters, didn't sing in dance halls and clubs. This train made her move to the United States of America and then to Nigeria. She started performing and recording in earnest, making an album with Hugh Masekela in Lagos, Nigeria. She also toured with Masekela in 1976 in the United States, then returned to Nigeria to participate in the 1977 Festac festivals. Her musical escapades took her as far as Europe. While in England, she became involved with the community of Africans and won the populace's respect before returning to Africa in 1984 to continue her activism. She became a dynamic speaker for issues concerning women and children, earning her the role of a Goodwill Ambassador for ECOWAS in 1990. Dedicated to uplifting the plight of the girl child, she founded the OBAS Girls Education Outreach, a humanitarian effort targeted at empowering people ravaged by the politics of war, deprivation, and poverty. To date, Miata continues to lend her voice to fighting social injustice in society using the channel of her voice and songs. She is a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother with a swag.
From Liberia, hello, Beata.
How you doing?
I'm all right. What about you?
I'm wonderful.
It's so great to see you. How's life treating you?
Well, I don't really have any complaints. I thank God every day for his blessings.
You have been all over the place, widely traveled to start with. How was your growing up?
We grew up in an ordinary household. I mean, they were lovely households because they were embassies. But it was a good time for me. It was a good time. We have some fun memories.
When you left for the United States at the age of 18, you played with a lot of musicians, top musicians. I can recall some of them, but we'll stop somewhere you eventually. I know you played with Hugh Masekela, Kofi Ganaba, Manu Dibango, the late Manu Dibango, Ed Townsend, and a whole lot of them.
America was a very interesting experience because when I got there in 1968, there was a lot of activism. Black power was very much alive. And so the musicians and people I gravitated towards were those people who were doing activism.
Hang on, how did you learn how to sing?
I didn't. I didn't. Later on, I decided to get voice lessons, but the voice lessons came after I was singing. And Manny, I have to tell you this, I never thought I could sing. Do you understand? I never thought I could sing or I was a great singer. I just loved to sing. I just loved to sing. And it was more people saying, oh, you sound nice. I said, really? And that was how I was going. I loved doing it. I loved the sound of it. And when I got to America at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, I had the opportunity of having voice lessons.
Who was your first, or your band, the first band you played with?
Brothers Incorporated. Brothers Incorporated was a group in Youngstown, Ohio. And we hooked up through a very wonderful Black American who had spent some time in Africa, very Afrocentric and everything else. And he thought I was the best thing since white bread. And and hooked me up with these young musicians. I mean, if I was 20 at the time, they were like 18, but they were fantastic, man. They played in the genre of the Ohio Players. So it was very funky and everything else. And he hooked us up with some gigs in the Chicago, Ohio area, and the people went wild. So that was my first time on an American stage saying, okay, I can do this.
Did you make a headway in the US? Because the story was that you never really made an impact in the States because of bad advice and stuff.
That was the musical side. That was the musical side in terms of contract. Yeah, you got to beware so that you're not exploited, etc. I was lucky to have that kind of advice because I was young, exuberant, so looking forward to doing something, and I was about to make a very bad deal. And luckily I could share it with people and someone who knew the business. And so I was able to get out of that, but unfortunately, I made a few enemies.
How did you get to Nigeria?
How did I get to Nigeria? I met Nigerians. I met people and made friends with Nigerians. And then my other Sierra Leonean brothers were already in Nigeria, Geraldo Pino and the Heartbeats, and I knew that Francis and others were there. So, you know, just like I got up and I went to the United States, that's how I got up and said, I'm going to Lagos, Nigeria. It is the biggest country in Africa, and that is the place I should go to get my name out there. And that's what I did.
And that was in what year?
1975.
Oh, well, you must have stayed behind because I know in 77 you participated in Festac.
I didn't stay behind, no. I didn't stay behind.
You were just a restless person, weren't you?
My grandfather called me a rolling stone.
Oh dear. Could have been more appropriate than that. When you left for America, you played with a lot of bands there. I was trying to get your experience with some of those bands, people you played along with. You know, who are these people that you reckon maybe helped you to hone your skills very much?
Like I said, in America, has to be with the group of Donald Byrd and others, Duke Pearson, one of America's foremost at the time. And who else in America? I mean, Lloyd McNeil and others. Some of the names have, you know, escaped me. I didn't start playing with Masekela and others until I came back to Africa.
What's your first album called?
You know, it didn't have a name, Manny, because it never came out. Yeah, it never came out. We did these 7 tracks with Hejule, Francis Fuster and others, and everybody fantastic. Masekela said, oh, I'm going to take it to New York, etc. Got to New York with Stuart Levine, and of course, all of the hitches in show business were Where Is She? How Does She Look? Etc. I was in Africa. They were trying to plug that music. But of late, Masekela has released quite a few of the tracks on his Chisa label. He started doing that before he passed away.
Right, so officially, which is your first recording then?
Then I would have to say the Amo Sakisa Kukulioko.
I know those songs.
Yes, you know them.
I remember you playing those songs live in Nigeria.
Very much so.
But suddenly you disappeared. You know, what happened?
In the 80s?
What happened?
Oh.
Was it getting too hot?
Never, never, never. I got pregnant.
Who done it?
I got pregnant, and I had to have my gorgeous little daughter. I was married, and I can say this here, but that is almost the closure of most female singers, especially in Africa.
What do you mean closure? What do you mean closure? Are you saying most female singers in Africa, whenever they get pregnant, they stop their music career?
Well, they don't stop it, but people don't react to you the same, because the music that I do is not just about shaking and dancing. The music that I do is inner and deep music. So there are audiences that I know already will not be interested in songs that I do. Do you understand?
So who are those who really show interest in the kind of songs you do?
Can I say intellectuals? And I can
You can, of course. Yes, sure.
Intellectuals and thinking people. I mean, we gotta think. I do dance. I do dance and play love songs, but it's interspersed with social, let's call it social messages, because I think the artist has more of a responsibility to the society, especially here in Africa.
You don't seem to live a lot in Liberia, Miata, do you?
You say that. I was in Liberia from 2005. I went to Liberia in 2005, Manny, and established a foundation for young girls, mentoring, sending them to school. I lived in Liberia until 2018. How many years is that?
You were living in Liberia all through that period?
Yes, I was living in Liberia all through that period. Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's period. I was in Liberia.
What was she like for you? If you were to assess, her governance in Liberia, what was she like to you?
God Almighty, she was a complete disappointment for me. I'm sorry to say. After 12 years, I have to be honest. That Madame didn't accomplish what she could have.
Which Nigerian leader are you prepared to give kudos to for their term in office?
Oh, the one and only Murtala Mohammed.
Really? But he lasted only. I was too young.
I was too young to understand Tafawa Balewa. Okay, but having heard him 2 or 3 times, yes, he was a good leader. I also love Awolowo, but because I was a radical at that time of the 70s, the man for me was Murtala Mohammed, especially when he said in Angola, Africa has come of age.
Pick a question.
Okay, question 1. If I wasn't a singer, what would I have done?
Yes.
That's it, right?
Yes.
I would have wanted to do what you have been doing. I was fascinated with journalism.
Did you go to school to read journalism?
No, I didn't. I did not. But I was introduced to radio and television very early. First in Sierra Leone at 15. I was invited to do a program on Sierra Leone broadcasting, a children's program. So that was the first time I got into studio, and I was fascinated by the whole thing. And then later on in Nairobi, Kenya, 1967, I got a part-time job with Kenya Broadcasting. And it was a wonderful experience. And so that was like, oh, I could do this, you know, interviews and stories and investigation. But I was reminded by my father that Africa was not prepared for progressive journalism at the time, so I better sing.
Rightly so. What did you think? Was he right?
No, he was right. I respected him for that. Yeah, he talked me out of that. He couldn't bear to see his daughter go to jail.
So what do you think of present day journalism in Africa?
It's just there. It's just there. It's not the fourth estate. We undervalue journalism in Africa. We undervalue journalists in Africa. That is our state of affairs.
Well, I mean, obviously, you know that in Nigeria, there's already a situation where radio, television is already privatized. So there are many more radio and TV stations. What do you think compared to, you know, the earlier days when you were coming to Nigeria?
You know, this is it. We're celebrating that we have all these free radio stations, private radio stations, etc. But let's look at the content in terms of our society, the social setting in society. What kind of an impact are they having? What kind of an impact are they having on our general society? What kind of impact are they having on the political situation in the country? Most of them are partisan. Most of them are hanging on for dear life in terms of duration. So there's no cohesiveness. There's no cohesiveness in the press. And it's worrying.
I know you have lived in Sierra Leone, you're living in Ghana, you come from Liberia, and you've been to Kenya. What's your experience of the media in these places?
I remember in Sierra Leone in the 60s, very vibrant. Very, very vibrant. You had people like Hannah Bright Taylor, Sylvester Rowe, and others. Joe Finley. I don't know if you ever met Joe Finley. He was at one time information of United Nations in Lagos, Nigeria. But those were the days. I mean, excellent in terms of what they delivered, the courage to deliver, you know, was one thing, because I found it very unbiased. But along the way, I mean, you're talking about the 60s. This is now 2021. Political situations have changed. and survivor. If you want to survive, you got to go with the crowd. That's how I'm seeing it.
She is a woman, strong woman.
Is your music career over, Miat?
Are you serious? No, man. I have to have a reason to sing. I have to have a good reason to sing, a good reason to perform. Like I said earlier, you know, I want people to listen to me, not to come and just look at me.
So what are you doing these days with music?
Well, I mean, hey, COVID has been on, and going into the studio to sing is one of the most dangerous places, even though I have done it. But you do it without backing vocals, etc. But everybody has been so cautious. And Manny, I have to tell you, for the past year, you are looking at the most paranoid African about this COVID. I don't understand it. Nobody understands it. I've read all the things, I've heard all the explanation, and it still don't make no sense. So I'm so very cautious.
So what are you doing about it?
What am I doing about it?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do about it? I didn't bring it. I don't know how it came.
So what has it prevented you from doing?
Everything. Going to funerals, going to parties, going to wherever there's a crowd. Wherever there's a crowd. You know, and all I've been told is wear your mask, keep your social distance, and wash your hands.
Imagine you are going on an island, you know, to stay in the island for 10 days.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, and you'll be allowed to take only 5 items with you for that period of time. You're allowed just 5 items to take to the island. What will this be?
My smartphone, music, and a book that I've been meaning to read. That's what now, 4. I know you're thinking, where is the Bible?
Yeah.
You see, and I think most people, I'm not going to condemn them, but I think most people say the Bible to give a different impression. Manny, I read the Bible and I studied the Bible from the time I was about 11, 12 years old, because I came through Christian schools, and right up onto the 6th form, one of my subjects was divinity at the Kenya High Girls School. I did my A-levels in divinity. So, you know, I'm not taking the Bible with me, I'll take a good.
What's the best way to describe you?
Manny, I'm just a woman. I'm an African woman, still surviving in today's world, trying to play my part. That's all.
Have you played your part?
Oh, I got much more to do. I have more to do. I have more to do. I just wish the pandemic would go away.
What more are you going to do? What more are you looking forward to doing before you step aside?
I have plans to go in a studio with Dede Mabieku and make some music, some Afro beat funky music. I have plans to go in a studio, we've talked about it, to go and do something with Stella Monier, who I feel is probably the best female voice to come out of Nigeria. I love her, I've always loved her. And then I have plans to fly for a special 80th birthday, and then that is in Nigeria, and then have plans to go to Cameroon to see a very dear friend of mine, etc. So, you know, we're taking it one day at a time.
Well, thank you very much, Miata Fambule, for being on the program, The Charts, this week.
Thank you, Manny. You just exposed my whole history.
Miata Fambule, Africa's finest voice, I would say. And she's been my guest on the program, The Chat. I am Manny. See you next time. The Chat is produced by Channels Television. You can watch it again online. Just visit our social media platforms, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook.